Hey, what's up? It's Ryan here from Forever and Profit. In this video, we're going to go over supply and demand with structure. So get ready to take notes and let's begin. All right, so very first thing that you're going to do, if you don't have the rectangles on your chart, what you can see is these dotted weird lines on your toolboard. You're going to go to the one that has all of these tools in your toolbar. You're going to double click it. You're gonna go to custom. You're basically gonna select the rectangle. Mine is already inserted, but you're gonna select the rectangle, then click insert. And it's gonna show up in the bar. And basically all that really means is that now you're gonna be able to have squares inside of your toolbar over here. Okay? So that's all you're really gonna do. So the very first thing you do is when you click your square, you're gonna drag it out. It's gonna come out. It's not gonna show solid, but you're just gonna go to rectangle properties, and you're gonna go to perimeters. I lied. You're gonna go to background and comment, and then you're gonna click this check bar, this checkbox. It's gonna be squared at first, like yours. That's how it's gonna look originally. Only thing you do is click it, draw object as background, and then you'll be good to go. And if y'all like my color, well, the color is royal blue. Alright, so this is what we're going to do to start it off. We're looking for structured areas to draw supply and basic demand zones. That's all this section is going to be, is supply and demand. Nothing more, nothing less. Supply and demand acts as an area of support and resistance. That's all what it really honestly is. It's a zone of support and resistance that acts as confluence towards Fibonacci trend lines, support and resistance zones, harmonics, extensions, whatever you really love to use inside the marketplace. Is a very great tool to find and identify areas of triple bottoms, triple tops, double tops, T-cups, inverted head and shoulders, chart patterns maybe. Some people will call it double tops and some people call it double bottoms W's. But the facts are, it's a very great tool. So let's identify some nice areas about supply and demand. All right, so let's go to the H4 chart. All right, I highly recommend you do that chart to identify. Here's a good example. Obviously, just nothing in this market yet, but eventually, sometime in the future, it will. What you can do is you're gonna grab the square. You're gonna see this tip of this body and the tip of this wick. The only thing you're gonna do is grab it and drag it and plot it. Very simple. What you do is you drag it all the way into the future. Remember, the bottom is called demand, and the top is called supply. And you want to have it precise. Okay? See this little wick is still a little inch right there? Only thing you do is, if you need to fix it, that's cool. Zoom in. Zoom in right there on that little sucker, and you're going to correct it. Boom. What I love to do is zoom in all the way on my charts and do 3 clicks out. 1, 2, 3. Just to see a nice good angle of the chart. Right? So that's the H4 chart. I'm getting into more angles on supply and demand zones. Here's a nice area to identify some zones. Draw that out to the future. Okay, you can draw this up to the high. The reason why I'm dragging it out just like that, here's a nice little part of the body, and since this was the highest part of the wick, this is a nice confirmation of dragging it out to that reason. Now let's just say this wasn't formed yet. That's fine. The only thing you're going to do is you're going to drag it back, and then you're just going to drag it from here, where that market is out, to the future. Alright, I want you guys to really understand this. Now the reason why I did this one before I actually draw it out, as you can see, it still remains true. I don't know what's going to happen here yet. But let's just say I knew that was the wick, and this was ending the whole entire 4-hour chart session. I believe this is, I don't even know how many hours or days this actually is. But I know on the hour chart, each box represents 2 days. So let's say this day right here would be Monday, and this will be Tuesday. And then it'll be Tuesday, and then it'll be Wednesday. And this is on the hour chart. There's 24 candles in the hour chart. On the H4 chart, it's a whole different story. So what you can do is Once again, you're going to drag it from the tip of this body to the tip of this wick and drag it to the future. As the market made newer highs, that is fine. The only thing you can do is adjust it. And you're just going to grab it, double click on the outside, and you're just going to move this box up to that high. Boom. That's it. And then you drag it to the future. More into the future. Always drag it back into the future. And here's a perfect example. All right. The market randomly went up today. And people was like, oh, it's a stop hunt. I'm here like, oh my God, no, it wasn't. But it was coming off that structure. As you can see, price, when it shot down, came down, actually shot down, went up, went down, went back into that zone. As you can see, it tapped it. 1, 2, 3. 3 hits to that zone. And it fell. Big count. Even though it went up, it fell. But that also was more to it. It was due to some Fibonacci retracements. But I'm not going to get into that yet. You can see that later on in the videos, as I will go back and explain that later on inside of this video. But the more important part is that was 3 hits to the high. 1, 2, 3. That's called a triple top. Now we could get another zone. You can drag it from the bottom, which we will call demand. Right? Drag it to the future. You remember, you're going to go back to this video, rewind it, play it again, take lots of notes, because we're going to use this when I do my last video of tying it all together. I just want you to understand zones. I'm going to go and draw a whole bunch of zones so this actually does stick. Demand zone, double bottom to the low. Okay? Some people also say it's a head and shoulders pattern, shoulder, head, and here's your shoulder. Okay? So market went up. It did its pushes, level 1, level 2, level 3, consolidated. Right? And it fell. That's normal. And it made a triple top. So if you had stop losses in, which I do recommend, so let's say if you did catch a weekly reversal and you caught it right here, and you caught all of this, and then it randomly went up, well, you should have had a stop loss to protect your orders. And to measure the pips, once again, you grab the crosshair, and I say use stop loss anywhere after 20 to 25 pips after you're inside of your order, which is okay. So if the market went all the way down, you're good. If it ever was to go back up, you at least locked in 25 pips. If it came out that zone, made a triple top, the only thing you have to do is go to your M30 chart to identify what would have happened. And once it got back up to that zone and it gave you a nice area confluence of that triple top, and it was obviously solid resistance as well, you could have honestly just took the trade back down. Got right back in with a bigger volume because you still would have cashed out. Whenever profit is profit, nothing lost, you still gained. So let's just delete these and draw some more zones. All right, so we zoomed out. I'm going to go over here a little bit. Oops, my bad. Go over here. Zoom in. Here's another area that you can draw to the future. This was a supply zone where market eventually went back up, acted as supply, came back down, and then eventually it took a big count to break it, and eventually did break it. And once it did break, market came back down, retested that zone, and then went right back up. See, it was supply when the market was going back inside of it. But when the market broke out of it, it becomes demand. And now when price goes back in, it still remains as demand. And obviously you can see the structure of a support area right here. Market did that, ugly double bottom, 1 hit to the low, 2 hit to the low, and then went back up, right? Level 1, level 2, and here's your level 3, and the market dropped. But you can kind of get the angle. In the other video when I was drawing trend lines, as you can see, you can also identify that that came off a slope as well. So here's your trend line. All right. So when the market kind of crossed over this later on in the future, you could kind of predict that was going back into a downtrend with confluence of the fact that it went at 1, 2, and 3 levels. And as you can see, it came off of that demand zone in this area. You could have took a buy and caught some pips. All right, so you could have caught some pips over that. And let's just say if you did catch this trade right here, you could have caught about 138 pips off of just understanding basic supply structure, demand zones, support and resistance lines. It's pretty redundant. All right, here's another zone. Drag that all the way to the future. Can't make this stuff up. This is gonna happen all the time. From here to here, as you can see, market broke it, went back in, acted as supply, dropped, acted as supply. Once again, triple top, 1 hit, 2 hit, 3 hits, falls. Some people would say that's a double top because it was like 1 hit, 2 hit here, and it drops and then went back up. I say this is a triple top because it did go back in its zone 3 times and then it did fall. All right, so that's all this really is. It's just getting areas to determine where price is going to have a strong area of reversals. All right, in the next couple of videos I'm going to be doing is going to go over more into depth of how to utilize everything all together to have more confluence in your trade setups. All right, so dragged it from here to that bottom. If I was to stand it all the way to the future, let's just delete this one right here. If I was to have stand that all the way to the future when price did go down to that low that day, for example, price shot all the way down, came back into that zone. From here to that low, it eventually went back down to that zone and it shot all the way back up just because it was inside of that area of demand and it couldn't go past that low, because if you get horizontal lines, once again, it came out of a clear structure support area. Demand, support, demand, support, demand, support, okay? And price did shoot up. So that's video basically concludes how to use and utilize zones. Once again, if you see big wicks, that is because it's a zone. You might want to draw it out. As you can see, price did respect it. Demand zone, shot back down, demand zone, went back up, and then boom, went all the way back down to there. Took a big count on the breakage, hit that zone, structure support, went back up into a supply zone, broke the supply zone, then becomes demand zone, and it never came back down to retest it, and market just shot up even more. You can even get a zone right here as well, drag it to the future. That's all this is. Repeated work. Okay, shot up, boom. Kind of broke it, but came right back in, failed. Tested it again, failed, and went down. Top is supply, bottom is demand. That's all it really is. All right, so that basically concludes supply and demand zones. Next video that we're going to go over is divergence with levels. So you can actually now read how to determine how to use the day breakers, right, to see trends, which is now going to tie in how to properly use support, resistance, supply, demand, with structure, and of course trend lines.